I let out a bitter laugh. What was the point of a family like this? Good thing I was worried about my sister's safety, I said coolly. So I planted a small hidden camera on her nightstand before I left. Jocelyn's face went white. Jocelyn's face drained of all color, the fake trembling and pitiful sobs catching in her throat like shards of broken glass. 1 second she was the poor, violated victim, her clothes torn, her cheeks streaked with stage tears, her body curled on the floor as if she'd endured the worst violation imaginable. The next, she looked like a ghost who'd just seen her own grave being dug. Grayson, still red-faced and fuming, ready to lunge at me with his bare hands, froze mid-snarl. My parents, their expressions hard with unearned judgment and blind loyalty, blinked in unison, the scolds dying on their lips. The room that had been roaring with rage and accusation fell so silent I could hear the distant hum of the building's ventilation system, a low, steady drone that underscored the terror spreading across Jocelyn's face. For years, I had lived with a primal, unshakable fear of being framed. It wasn't a casual anxiety. It wasn't a minor quirk. It was a survival instinct, forged in elementary school when a teacher tried to make me the scapegoat for her own carelessness, sharpened in corporate offices where colleagues and managers looked for anyone to blame for their mistakes, honed to a razor edge by a lifetime of being the disposable one, the easy target, the person no one would believe. That fear had curdled into something almost pathological, a need to document everything. Every word, every action, every interaction, every glance. I recorded conversations before they started. I filmed rooms before I entered them. I saved screenshots, backups, timestamps, metadata, GPS coordinates, and server logs like other people saved photos of vacations or birthday cakes. I didn't do it to be invasive. I did it because I knew, down to my bones, that sooner or later, someone would try to destroy me, and I intended to have every single piece of evidence to watch them burn. When the Sterlings found me, the biological family that had abandoned me at birth and replaced me with a stranger they'd raised as their perfect, adored daughter, I knew the danger would be greater than anything I'd ever faced. This wasn't a disgruntled accountant or a lazy teacher. This was a family worth billions, with connections, power, lawyers, and a lifetime of believing that the girl they'd chosen, Jocelyn, was better, kinder, worthier than the real daughter they'd discarded. So I prepared. I had custom clothing made, every button a tiny, high-definition hidden camera, programmed to record 24/7 and upload footage to an encrypted cloud server offshore, untouchable by anyone but me. Every pen in my bag, every notebook in my drawer, housed a voice recorder with a 30-day battery life, activated by sound, impossible to detect without a full sweep. I screen recorded every work chat, every email, every Slack message, every Teams call. I used my years of self-taught cybersecurity skills to hack into Apex Industries 188 office cameras, bypassing firewalls and admin passwords, routing the live feed to my personal devices and a dozen offline hard drives. I didn't just watch. I archived. I categorized. I timestamped. I backed up. I was ready for them to lie. I was ready for them to frame me. I just didn't realize how far Jocelyn would go to make sure I took the fall. The coffee incident had been child's play. She tried to paint me as a jealous, vengeful imposter, jealous of the life she'd stolen, willing to poison her with a milk latte to eliminate her. She'd sworn on her own health, sworn she'd never ask for such a thing, sworn she'd kneel and beg if she lied. I played her own voice back to her, clear and unedited, then the video proof, and watched her world crumble in front of the entire office. But Jocelyn was not one to accept defeat. She was a girl who'd spent 20 years living a life that wasn't hers. Learning to lie, to manipulate, to perform vulnerability so convincing even the people who'd raised her couldn't see through it. Losing once wasn't enough to stop her. It only made her more desperate, so she'd upped the stakes. The bar, the fake friends, the sleazy stranger pressuring me to drink, the friend who gave me a fake address, the apartment that wasn't hers, the staged assault, the torn clothes, the fake bruises, the performance of a lifetime designed to make me look like a monster who had lured her to a strange place, abandoned her, and hired someone to ruin her, all out of jealousy, all to take back the life she'd stolen. And my family, the Sterlings, the blood relatives who should have protected me, ate it up. Grayson had dragged me from my bed at dawn, slapping me across the face so hard my ear rang and my vision blurred. My mother had struck me again, without a word, her face twisted with hatred, as if I was the one who had hurt the girl they'd chosen over me. They'd hauled me to that fake apartment, where Jocelyn lay on the floor, a masterpiece of fake suffering, and accused me of unspeakable cruelty. They didn't ask for my side. They didn't listen to reason. They didn't care about proof. Jocelyn was their daughter. I was just the gutter rat from nowhere, the intruder who had ruined their perfect little lie. But they'd forgotten one thing. I always documented everything. I stood in the middle of the chaotic room, my face stinging from 2 slaps, my body still thrumming with the shock of being dragged from my bed, and stared at Jocelyn, my expression cold and unimpressed. The fake fear, the fake horror, the fake innocence, none of it worked on me. I'd seen it all before, from better actors, from people who had less to lose. You look terrified, I said, my voice calm even devoid of any emotion. Good. You should be. Grayson roared, struggling against my parents' grip. You psychotic bitch. You planted a camera? You invaded her privacy? You're sick. Invading her privacy? I repeated, a humorless, bitter laugh escaping my lips. I'm protecting myself from being framed for a violent crime I didn't commit. If she just told the truth, none of this would be necessary. But she doesn't do truth. She does performances. She does lies. She does framing the person who actually belongs in this family. I turned my gaze to my father, the man who shared my DNA, the man who should have been my protector. You keep talking about how Jocelyn is your daughter, how you raised her, how you know her character. But you never raised me. You never knew me. You don't get to judge me for surviving when you left me to drown. His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. There was no argument against the truth. Jocelyn pushed herself up on her elbows, her voice trembling, still trying to cling to the victim act, but her eyes were wild with panic. T, that's not fair. I didn't do anything. You set me up. You wanted to ruin me. I didn't set you up, I said. You set yourself up. Let's talk about the night, step by step, and we'll use the evidence to fact-check every single one of your lies. I pulled out my primary phone, the one with unlimited storage and military-grade encryption, and unlocked it with my fingerprint. The screen lit up, displaying a grid of video files, all labeled with timestamps, locations, and names. The room watched silent and tense as I tapped the first file. The video began to play. It was footage from the button camera on my blouse, recorded the second I walked into the bar. The audio was crystal clear. I watched as Jocelyn sat surrounded by her so-called friends, all of them sneering and mocking me the second I walked through the door. Their voices played out loud. So this is Jocelyn's long-lost sister? A real step down. Told you there's a world of difference between city folk and country hicks. Who cares if she's the real heiress? She has zero class. I don't know, guys, she looks like she could be a good time. Wonder if she had to sell herself to make ends meet. The camera panned to the sleazy man who approached me, offering a drink, his tone leering and aggressive. My voice, calm and polite, played, I'm allergic to alcohol, thank you. His angry retort followed, loud and hostile. What the hell? You think you're too good to drink with me? Then Jocelyn's voice, sickly sweet, manipulative, designed to pressure me. Come on, Vera. If you don't drink, it means you're still mad at me, doesn't it? My blunt reply, you're right. I am still mad at you. The video showed me turning on my phone's camera, addressing the entire table, my voice steady and firm. Just so everyone is aware, if you're pressuring me to drink results in any adverse health effects under state liability laws, every single one of you could be looking at an assault charge. The room fell silent in the video, just as it had in real life. The group went quiet, their smirks fading, their desire to taunt me vanishing instantly. Jocelyn's venomous glare was captured perfectly, clear as day, before she turned back to her friends and resumed drinking. I paused the video and looked at the Sterlings. That's the first hour. Recorded, time-stamped, unedited. No cuts, no fakes. Just what happened. Jocelyn invited me here to humiliate me in front of her friends. She pressured me to drink. She let them insult me. This was not a peace offering. This was an ambush. My mother's lips thinned, but she didn't speak. Grayson's face was a mix of anger and doubt, the first crack in his blind loyalty. I tapped the next video file. This footage was from my pen recorder, activated the second the friend approached me to give me the fake address. The woman's voice was friendly, almost caring, as she said, the Sterling estate is way too far from here. It's not safe for two girls to be out this late. Why don't you just take her to the apartment she rents nearby? She gave the address clearly, slowly, repeating it twice so I could write it down. The video showed me nodding, thanking her, then helping a heavily intoxicated Jocelyn to her feet. Jocelyn was slurring her words, stumbling, barely able to stand, her breath reeking of alcohol.